Imagine being in an endless void, trapped alone with no phone or external stimuli. In fact, you can take away the void and exchange it with the real world, because it doesn't really make a difference, doesn't it? I mean, think of it. How much attention do you give your surroundings? Instead, we habitually grab our phones when we need to wait, listen to music, scroll our social media feeds, or anything really, just to keep our minds occupied. We hate being bored, but if we're so good at micromanaging our boredom, how come so many of us feel that our lives are just a routine and lack excitement and meaning? So, why is our life boring? And how can we change that? So a problem, it seems, that too much of the same thing blends the excitement. So in a sense, novel things are destined to become dull. The first day of a new job will always feel more exciting than day 400. And so is a song that is played over and over again. Does this mean that the solution to a boring life is to always find new things that excite us? Never stick too long with something or someone. Never stay too long in the same place. And frequently change your jobs. And relationships too. So always keep it fresh. For some people this is indeed a way worth living, and who am I to judge that? But more often than not, this hunt for the next dopamine spike will not make your life more interesting. After all, from a certain perspective, even the most adventurous lifestyle consists of phases that has a beginning, an ending, and a transition to the next phase. And this, however complex, is still a routine that can become dull. We probably know the ins and outs of our lives better than anyone else. Our routines, our flaws, our highs and lows, and anything in between. Does it then come as a surprise that everyone else, especially the people from TV and social media, seem to have a much more interesting life than we have? No matter how many vacation events, career steps we take, there's always someone who has a more exciting life than we have. There's always more and there's always better. So in fact, we're really chasing a mirage if we compare ourselves to others. Getting inspired by other people is another story. It can be great to develop the courage and the skills to follow a similar path, but more often than not, we idolize rather than follow the example of our heroes. We let ourselves blind from shiny objects. We want the house, we want the fancy car, we want the status or the travel or whatever attribute it may be that we think will catapult us out of our monotonous life into a life of excitement. Have we all lost our sense of adventure? And with adventure I don't mean to go out and slay dragons.
I'm here to slay you, dragon.
I mean by adventure is the journey with an uncertain outcome. In today's culture, I sometimes fear that the journey becomes less and less important. We want instant gratification, jump right to the end, where the dragon has been slain and we're just here to collect our trophy. The true journey is a process with different stages. That's what we love about a good story. But when we find our lives boring and mundane, it's not easy to narrate an interesting story out of limiting elements like daily routines, fears, bad habits, low expectations, and poor self-reflection. So having ambitious goals in life can help to get a direction and a purpose. But not every goal is a good goal. Every goal has a certain depth. Some goals satisfy basic needs and others can change fundamentally who we are. And this potential transformative effect that a profound goal can have on us can give our lives a purpose. But the problem with these kinds of transformative goals is that they tend to take a long time to accomplish. So it's very easy to lose track and get lost. We need something like Ariadne's thread, which leads us out of the maze. A story that gives us a narrative amidst the chaos. When I became self-employed, my perspective shifted. Daily work hours disappeared and achieving results became more important. This subtle shift first was very cool because it meant that I could work when I wanted and take time off when I wanted. One of the reasons why I became self-employed in the first place. But the downside of this perspective is that my identity and self-worth gradually became dependent on my results. So the things with goals and a result-driven mentality, there's always more that I could have done. So it felt like I was always behind, catching up to my high expectations. When I reached the goal, the next one was already waiting for me, while my inner voice blamed me for not moving faster. It looked like I was living the dream from the outside, but I certainly didn't feel like this. You can maintain in such a rat race for a very long time, and some people do this even their whole lives. It was only recently that I discovered this about myself while I picked up an old habit of journaling. To me, writing is thinking. Journaling helps me to form coherent strings of thoughts, where before my head was full with unstructured and emotionally biased thoughts. So having this conversation with myself and later with my wife helped me to see the bigger picture again. It's hard, but shifting my perspective back to the journey, the process, instead of just goals, made my life so much enjoyable and exciting again. It was as if I could suddenly enjoy the story of a good book again, instead of reading the pages out loud to a class and always worrying about stuttering. I bet other introverts can relate to this. This destination journey dilemma seems to befall many people. Maybe this is also a reason why we don't pick up new skills when we get older. Learning, after all, can be a bitter pill to swallow. Learning new things is uncomfortable. Getting different results than you expect can be frustrating, but it makes our lives so much more enjoyable. But we need to be present and focus on the journey. I think it's no surprise that our attention span has decreased. And one of the reasons, I believe, is that we never really need to be bored anymore. So circling back to where I started, making an effort to get enjoyment out of working towards something, instead of only seeing your goals or satisfying yourself with low-effort dopamine spikes. Like social media, Netflix, sugar, porn will highly influence the lens through which you see your life. There are many practices that make you more intentional and mindful about the action you take in life, like meditation, breathwork, or journaling. Pick any of them if they serve you as Ariadne's threads through the labyrinth of the Minotaurus and give you meaning, purpose, and a story in life. I'm a big believer in finding meaning in actions rather than find meaning and then take action. This way you can start now, implement more mindfulness, and then course correct gradually.